they're dead! Like, they walked in the fire! Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another review episode of marc-e-b's Gaming Sea. Now in today's show we are talking about Prison Architect, the PlayStation 4 edition, done by the guys down at Double 11 and Introversion Software. Really cool game. We're going to get it kicked off with talking about the story. This is interesting. Now, for those of you who aren't quite aware, this game kind of harks back to the old school style theme park, theme hospital simulator kind of game. It is very different from those in that respect, but you know, if you know those kind of games, you know what you're going to be expecting here. It's really cool actually. There is a genuine story to this game. What they've done is, instead of just giving you a very boring tutorial with loads of notes to read and all this other stuff, they've effectively split down this tutorial into 5 storied episodes. And each episode will teach you another kind of dynamic, really just showing you how to get your prison up and running. It doesn't go into a load of detail because there is so much to do in this game, and there's so much kind of dynamics to how you can build your prisons and how your prisoners interact with whatever you kind of set up inside that prison. So it's a very kind of basic run-of-the-mill tutorial set of stories, but they're really cool. I actually liked that they kind of started you with, you know, little bits of storyline, and then you have to build your prison to kind of meet a set amount of goals or tasks that your CEO has given you. From the offset, I thought this was going to be a kind of almost game that like kids could play and that kids could get jumped into, but there's some pretty dark stuff that happens in this game. Don't be put off by the very fluffy, cartoony feel of the looks of it. The fuck? Okay. God damn. I thought this was going to be a game for kids. And also, there's lots of swearing as well. So yeah, I think it is definitely catered more towards the adult side. And because of that, I think they've put a lot more detail into the gameplay. More of that in a bit, but as you saw from kind of one of these scenes, that's effectively how the stories unfold. You get asked to build a new, for example, the first piece of tutorial is asking you to build an execution chamber, very happy and pretty, for a prisoner that's on death row, and it shows you a little flashback of why the prisoner kind of is on death row and the crimes that they committed, and it kind of rolls throughout. So every storyline, every tutorial mission, sorry, there's a different piece of storyline to go with it, and they intertwine somewhat, and it was really cool. I thought that I'd want to kind of smash through the tutorial pieces of story fairly quickly, but by the time I got to the last one, I was actually disappointed that there weren't more, and that you know, they couldn't have found some way to maybe incorporate pieces of storyline into just your standard open world prison building game. But hey ho, really good fun. Going in, boys. It's just zero fucks given. Don't know if I'll have any prisoners left by the end of this. Gameplay. So on the gameplay side of things, like I said, if you kind of see what's going on here, you know what you have to do. It's basically about building and running a prison. You're the architect, you're in charge, you know, you get to call the shots and you get to choose what prisoners get up to. You get to build everything. You get to build everything from scratch. You can have huge cells with beds and TVs and windows and all this kind of luxury, or you can have the tiniest one block solitary confinements. Everything that you build goes into effectively deciding how the prisoners react to given situations. It's really, really cool. You can change up the regimes. So from every single hour, you can kind of dictate whether they're going to be having free time, whether they're going to be locked up in their cells, whether they should eat. You can choose to restrict their eating. So if you only want them to eat for 1 hour at 8 in the morning, then that's what you're going to do. You may well end up having some riots on your hands. If that's the case and people do start getting a bit out of hand, you have this kind of emergencies section which you can select. And effectively what this does is it allows you to call in riot squads, it allows you to call in firefighters. It's a really great additional kind of dynamic to the game, because when you call in these additional teams, you don't just let them kind of run free and do what you want. You are actually in charge of those. So you get to highlight your little squad, click where you want them to go, and as they kind of go to that area, any prisoners that are being disruptive or violent, you know, they'll batten them down and take them out. And same with the firefighters. If there's fires anywhere, you know, fires break out in the kitchen and the canteens and stuff, if it starts spreading, you call in your fire squad. You have to physically kind of control them to the areas of the fire, and as they do that, they'll go spraying and putting it out. Just walk past that crew. Yeah, don't worry about them guys. Keep putting the fire out. I really liked that. It almost felt like somewhat of a mini game that you could kind of play, and it was really fun just kind of going through and kind of clearing out violent cell blocks of prisoners with your riot squads, or just putting out huge fires that may have occurred with the firefighters. And you know, there's the detail in this kind of gameplay is really key, because it can make or break a game effectively, and I think 11 have done a great job of putting lots of detail into this game. The best way I could kind of explain it is everything is kind of just persistently done. So you lay your guards down, they'll do their jobs. You lay your cooks down, you lay your janitors down, they'll all do their jobs, and they'll all do it without you having to intervene or to pick them up and to place them in a certain area. And I really like the fact that the game has a really good balance between what it will just do naturally and what you have control over and what you need to do effectively as the prison architect. You can unlock in a bureaucracy screen. You have all your kind of talents and skills and extras that you must unlock as you kind of progress through building your prison bigger, and effectively the bigger your prison gets, you get more money in, you get to spend more money on bigger features. You can buy things like patrol routes. So if you do want to kind of control where your guards are going, you can very simply draw patrol routes and then drop a guard on that, leave them to it, and they will constantly make sure that that area is monitored. It's a very quick and easy way of taking care and control of your prison without having to be so detailed as to look after every single individual staff member. Really, really cool feature. On top of the fact that you can build anything you want, cells, canteens, there's churches that you can build, there's workshops that you can build, so eventually as you start kind of expanding your prison and getting more and more prisoners, you can put prisoners to work in the workshop. If they do that, it effectively takes finances out of you having to pay staff to do that. So you may start hiring cooks. Eventually, you know, you could train staff to do that for you. Really cool. What else was there? There was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, so you've got power supplies, which you need to route throughout the whole prison, as well as water. Now it sounds like it's quite a tedious task, and it may feel like it when you first start doing it, but it's a really, really cool feature. It's again meant to just throw into that realism that this is a kind of living, breathing prison. So you get to drop power generators down, and then as soon as you want to hook power up to anything, you don't have to do anything really fiddly. You don't have to kind of go around walls, or there's nothing blocking the way. Effectively, you go into a power screen and it allows you to run cables and water lines throughout the whole prison underneath the ground, so you don't have to worry about kind of that getting too tedious. Just make sure your water lines are running straight to the toilets and the sinks for water. Make sure that electricity lines are being run wherever there may be a kind of yellow lightning bolt flashing up. It's a really nice feature and something that we haven't seen in these kind of simulator games, so it was really, really cool to kind of jump in and get used to that. There's so much variety to what you do. Yes, after you finish the stories, the prison stories, you effectively, all you have left to do is just be the prison architect. But you have complete reign as to how you want to start your game. You can start it from scratch on a tiny piece of land. You can start from scratch on a huge piece of land. You can dictate exactly how much budget you want to spend. So you can start with an unlimited budget. So money is no worry, and you can build whatever the fuck you want, however the fuck you want. Or you can limit yourself to a very small budget, and you might have to rely on being a bit more resourceful and earning money through the usual means throughout the game. Obviously taking in prisoners, that's your main source of income, and keeping them happy, so you know you can take on more prisoners and etc, etc. So The one thing I thought was pretty cool as well is that you get a choice of wardens. So you can, when you start, I think there's about 5 or 6 different wardens that you can pick from, and they each have their own little traits. So you can pick like an ex-army guy, and you know he might be tougher on criminals, or you can choose somebody that's more kind of good with finances, so you end up bringing in a bit more money. You can choose, like, it's just loads and loads of variety within how you can play the game, and they've made sure that they've given you that variety, not only that you have to play it, but that you can chop it and change it. So I think that's really, really cool. They haven't just done a quick copy and paste where it's like blank slate, paint, and then rehash it. You really can kind of change the settings and dictate how you want to play it, and as you get better and better, you can change those settings up, make it harder, and see how much of a good prison architect you really can be.
Look at them bringing all that stuff in. Like, I got this, boys. I got this. Yeah. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Oh, here comes the fridge. Look at this little legend.
Final verdict for this game, I'm going to give it a 7.8625. Reason being is it's great fun. It really kind of hit me in my nostalgia strings for, you know, if you love your games, like, again, I keep mentioning it, if you like theme hospital games like that, I think this is kind of something that you should definitely check out. I would have maybe given it an 8 should there have been a few more extra features. I would have loved to have seen some more story missions. Again, like I said at the start, perhaps some way that they could have incorporated story missions into your open world kind of prison that you build. So maybe kind of every 10th or 15th prisoner might bring a story in with him, and you have to meet certain conditions, otherwise that prisoner will go ape shit and just kill everyone. Another feature I would have really have liked to have seen, which is a shame they probably could have added this quite simply, would just naming your guards. It would have been really cool to be able to name your guards. I know that sounds so stupid, but I think that would have made my prison feel a bit more kind of fun if I could have been, you know, named myself as the warden, and then all of the guards you kind of name all your friends and stuff like that, or even down to prisons as well, so people that you don't like you can kind of name as prisoners and things like that. That would have been pretty fun. Hey ho, you never know, it might come in a patch. But the game is out already on Xbox One and Steam, I believe. It might not be. It might be coming the same time as it comes to PlayStation 4, which is June the 28th. Please go and check this out. It's a brilliant game. I'm still putting many hours into it. Until the next show, guys, take it easy.